Hello again, and welcome to the Roy Williams Show. My name is Jones Angel, alongside the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Roy Williams. And of course, as with most things this year, things are a little bit different. We're not here with Coach Williams at top of the hill like we normally would be. We'd much rather be there with a bunch of Tar Heel fans with you in person, but with so much going on, of course, we are going to do this a little differently this year. Coach and I will record the show on Monday, then air it later in the night. We are still taking your questions, and you can get those in throughout the week. You can send us an email, asktheheels@gmail.com, or shoot me a tweet. It's at Jones Angel. Angel has 2 L's at the end, as you know by now. The show brought to you in part by Continental Tire, innovative technology and driving confidence for a dealer near you. Go to continentaltire.com. Coach, great to see you. How are you?
Oh, just like we're talking about the show, I'm here, there, everywhere, but don't know what I'm doing. It's been an unusual year. It's been a very difficult year for everyone. We're not comfortable with what we're doing. You and I are 4 feet apart, talking with mask on. We probably look better with the mask on. I'll say right. That much. But it's been very unusual, to say the least. In some ways, very, very difficult. But we've got 6 games behind us. We would like to have played better. The 2 games we lost, at one point we had a 1-point lead in both games in the second half, but weren't able to pull it through, so we've got to get a heck of a lot better.
Coach, and I know this is a very wide-ranging question, how has COVID impacted your team the most, in your opinion?
Oh, gosh, Jones, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing was 6 freshmen that were playing a lot, not having an exhibition game, not having maybe 2 exhibition games, right, which is the way we're leaning towards doing this year, or not having an exhibition game and a scrimmage. We didn't have those trial runs for them to get used to the competition that they were facing. And I'd say that's the biggest one, getting in front of the TV cameras and playing at least 1 game, and again possibly 2 is something. But I think playing as many freshmen, as much quality time as we're doing, I'd say that's the biggest way it's affected us.
Protocol-wise, what kind of things are you guys having to do that you are totally different from what you would normally do?
Well, we're testing 3 times a week, sometimes more.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a chip that we're wearing in our uniform. We created a little patch inside the pants that we're wearing a chip that at the end of the game we can tell how many minutes we've been within 6 feet of every player.
Wow.
And the coaches. We're having one we hold in our pocket or on a chain around our neck, checking those kind of things all the time. Every day, so if somebody sneezes, we get scared and think it's something else. We've had 5 or 6 different players to miss a practice because they didn't feel well, and the next day they felt great, and we tested them, and they were negative test every time. So it's just been very unusual. We haven't been able to get in a rhythm of what we want to do.
From the communication side of things during a game, you guys are spread out more than normal. You're wearing a mask during the game. Has that been a challenge, or has that been okay?
No, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's okay. But I've worn my mask every day in every practice.
Yeah.
I wear it all the time, and the rest of the coaches wear theirs all the time. So it's been a little more difficult, but we don't have the crowd noise. It would be even more difficult if you had the crowd noise in there. I'd like to have the people in there. There's no question we'd like people to see Carolina basketball, but so it is. It's just everything is new. 2020 has been a pain in the rear end, but let's see if we get a few more wins before we finish it.
You guys have traveled some as well. What has that experience been like?
It's crazy because we spread out on the plane. We don't take as many people. We have 6, 7 managers. We only take 2. Went to Asheville and played 3 days in a row. We eat 6 to 10 feet apart all the time. Asheville was 500 yards, so we still took 2 buses, so you don't have to sit beside somebody. We played in Iowa. We had 2 buses to get us to the game. Every time we turn around, we've been playing another game, and I'm looking around to see who's with us, who's not with us. So we're traveling differently, 2 buses. The planes, we had tremendous distance between each of the players and coaches, and just testing every time we turn around. It seems like we're taking another test.
Coach, there have been, including Mike Krzyzewski, of course, some high-profile coaches who have come out and questioned whether or not you guys, not you, North Carolina, but that college basketball should be playing or not. Do you have a strong opinion on that?
Oh, I have a strong opinion that we should continue trying to see if we could play, but we've got to be intelligent too. And I think that we made decisions on this season, and I can't even remember. We met all summer. Every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, we had a conference call, Zoom call with all the coaches in the AC. Every Thursday, I was involved in another committee, ad hoc committee, that we did that at 12 o'clock every Thursday. So I can't remember when we made the decisions, but it was probably late August, early September, and things have changed dramatically since then. Should we be doing what we're doing? I think that's a question we all ask each other every day. We're missing a ton of games. There's a ton of problems out there. There's a ton of problems in our society. Hopefully we'll put this election behind us and get to be more intelligent about the way we treat each other and other people all the time, and maybe not have as much maliciousness in our society. But it's college basketball. It's good for kids to be playing. There's no question about that, and I think Mike agrees with that. But the mental health of our guys, I mean, you're scared to death every time you turn around. Are we putting them in situations that maybe if we had delay a couple of months, maybe we could put them in better? Nobody knows. And I think that's what Mike was saying, is we made the decisions 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 2.5, whenever it was. And times have changed, and should we look at it differently now? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So it's, it did get a lot of attention and upset some people, but the fact of the matter is what he said was pretty good. And the fact of the matter is he's entitled to his opinion, just like some other people. If they don't like it, they're entitled to their opinion too.
Are you an expert on Zoom yet?
I hate it with a passion. I've done more Zoom than I'll do the rest of my entire life. And but I'm a teacher, and I'm doing a Zoom with 15 other people, or 15 or 17 players. I like to see if they're paying attention. I like to see their facial expressions when I say something, and you can't do that as easily on Zoom as you can when you're teaching in the classroom or teaching on the court, either one.
Yeah. We'll focus a little bit more just on basketball when we get back. Plus, we're going to answer some of your questions that you have for Coach. That and more coming up as we move through the Roy Williams Show. It's all coming your way from Learfield, IMG College. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Roy Williams Show. Man, there are so many ways you can listen to the show. Maybe it's right here on the Tar Heel Sports Network radio affiliate. Maybe you have it as a podcast. Maybe you're streaming it through a website or an app. We're just glad you're here, and we're excited to talk Tar Heels with you. Carolina already 6 games into the season. It took a while to get the season started, but the Heels have played a bunch since they got going, and we're going to talk a little basketball after I tell you that Carolina basketball and the Roy Williams Show, brought to you in part by Food Line. Proud sponsor of the Score to Give More campaign. And for every free throw the Heels make this season, Food Line Feeds will donate 100 meals to a local area food bank. And that's going to help our neighbors in need this winter. It's Score to Give More, presented by Food Line, the official grocer of the ACC. Coach, 4-2 through 6 games, a very difficult schedule to this point. Just kind of overall, your thoughts on how your team's played.
Oh, we've been okay, but not where we want to be. I mean, you don't want to be just okay.
Sure.
We lose at Iowa when we had a 1-point lead in the second half. They played very well, make 17 threes. We'd missed some things trying to guard them, and we missed some shots ourselves. Lose to Texas in the finals of the Maui-Asheville Invitational Tournament up there. And, play here, play there. We could have won that game. So 4-2 is just okay. It's not where we want to be by any means. But we're got 6 freshmen out there, and in Saturday's game, once in the first half and once in the second half, we had 5 freshmen on the floor at the same time. And those kind of things are going to happen. But the bottom line is it's North Carolina, and 4-2, we'd like to be better.
I was going to ask you about that freshman class. They're important to this team. They're important to your program. They're playing a whole bunch. How have they come along, considering the challenges that you talked about earlier?
Well, different levels are different each individual. I think Caleb has been far below where he wants to be. I think RJ's been a little bit better, been a little more consistent, just didn't shoot the ball very well at all Saturday in the game. Puff has missed some time for a couple of weeks right before we started, and so he's been a little bit behind. Walker Kessler, the same thing, missed a couple of weeks right before we started, and has been a little behind. Dayron at times has been sensational. And Kerwin Walton has gotten into it a little slower than I'd hoped, but I believe he's going to be a really good player for us down the line.
Coach, you have those 2 freshman guards in Caleb and RJ that are starting for you, playing a lot of time in the backcourt. They're both uber talented. I think everybody can see that. But what are some of the challenges when you have two young guys back there together?
Well, most guys when they come in, even the guys that play as a freshman, have another point guard who's done it in prime time before.
Right.
And we've started a lot of point guards as freshmen. I mean, it's for me, it was Raymond Felton because this is my first year, and he started for us, even though it was his sophomore year. We started Bobby Frazier as a freshman, Ty Lawson as a freshman, Marcus Page, Kobe White, Cole Anthony. So we've done it a lot, but having two of them back there, they don't have a security blanket like some of the other guys have had. And so that's made it more difficult. The three biggest things for a point guard: keep the ball in front of you, okay, and don't turn it over. And, oh, yes, we'd like you to take great shots and shoot a good percentage. And so those are the three things that we haven't succeeded in with RJ and Caleb yet, and I do think that they're going to be very good. Kiddingly, maybe not kiddingly, said to him, I want it to be in my lifetime, though, so we need to start doing it right now. But we've got to be better defensively on the ball. Can't turn it over as much as we're turning it over. And then take better shots so you shoot a better shooting percentage is extremely important. And I've got some stats I'm going to give them today at practice that Ty Lawson, Marcus Page, Raymond Felton, the first of their freshman year, there were some ugly numbers there too. But all those guys changed. So now it's your job to change.
Coach, one thing that is very clear is that you guys have a deep and talented front court. How do you want to continue to use those guys to your best advantage?
Well, it's two things are always bouncing around in my mind to see if we could play three of them at the same time, but it would be very difficult for us defensively, but there may be times that we do that anyway. But Garrison deserves the opportunities because he's earned it from what he's done in the past. And I would say that right now he's not playing nearly as well as he wants to play himself. And then Armando's had some great moments, some bad moments. Dayron has really been really good most of the time. It's got to be a little more controlled on the defensive end of the floor and not make mistakes there. And then Walker Kessler's going to be very good, but like I said, he just missed those 2 weeks right before we started playing games, and that's when we put so many things in.
Just in pure size-wise, and you've always had good teams down low and some big players. Gosh, just in pure size, this feels like one of your bigger teams.
It is. It's probably – I had a team at Kansas with Scott Pollard, Rafe LaFrance, and Greg Ostertag, 6'11", 6'11", and 7'1", and they all three were first-round draft picks in the NBA. And so that was really a big team, and I'd say other than that, this is the biggest team I've ever coached.
Coach, two more things, then we'll take a break and we'll get to some questions from Tar Heel fans. I mentioned the schedule, and especially with those two young guards. I mean, there was a senior point guard for Texas, a senior point guard for Iowa, senior point guard for Stanford. They have not had an easy transition as far as who they are playing or the experience level of who they're playing.
No, and in fact, the senior guard at Iowa is a sixth-year senior, not fifth year, but a sixth-year senior. And so they've had that to challenge them every night they've stepped out there, and it has been difficult for them.
Last thing, Garrison, you mentioned Garrison and Leakey. That they are your most experienced player as far as age plus what they've done on the court. What are you asking them to do right now for this team?
100 things. Score, rebound, defend, all those normal things, to be a leader as well. We may not win the UNLV game or the Stanford game without Leakey being just tremendous defensively. But we got to get him to do a little more on offense without hurting us. Garrison just hadn't gotten in the flow yet, but I think he will get in there. But those two guys, as you say, they're the most experienced. They've got to lead us.
All right, we still have a lot to do with Coach as we move through the hour here on the Roy Williams Show. When we come back, we're going to start getting to your questions for Coach, and we do have a new segment this year. Our top 3 questions every show are going to be presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We'll tell you about that and get to those when we return. It's the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Thanks again for being here on the Roy Williams Show. My name is Jones Angel, along with the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Roy Williams. New polls out today. Carolina at number 22 in the AP poll, one of multiple ACC teams ranked. Florida State at 15, Virginia 17, Duke at 21, Louisville 23, Clemson sneaks in there at number 24. Previous and upcoming opponents as well for the Heels. Iowa still at number 3, Texas up to 11, and the next scheduled opponent for the Tar Heels is Ohio State. They are currently ranked at number 20. All right, I mentioned this before the break, but our top 3 questions every week are going to be presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, reminding you to practice your 3 W's. That is wear, wait, and wash. And they resolve to keep North Carolina healthy. So, Coach, we're going to take our best 3 from Tar Heel fans in this segment every single week, and this one comes from Austin. Austin wanted to know if Caleb Love reminds you, and you actually referenced this a little bit, about how Kobe White started his career as far as his gear of playing quickly all the time and maybe not quite being ready to power down sometimes if needed.
You know, sometimes he does, but Kobe was a point guard all the time.
Yeah.
Caleb a lot of times didn't play the point guard, and he is so athletically gifted, just overpowered some people, and it's harder to do that at our level. Kobe understood a little bit more about playing the point guard, getting things set up. But, yeah, Kobe's the best I've ever had. Kobe and Ty Lawson at pushing the pace. They pushed it with the dribble. Kendall Marshall pushed it with the pass. We've got to get Caleb to push it with the dribble right now and make better decisions when he gets on the other end.
I was going to ask you, and I'm guessing I know the answer. Is the pace at which you're playing anywhere close to where you want to be right now?
No, it's the slowest team we've ever had, and it's frustrating to me because that's not the way we practice, but I got to do a better job to get them to that pace, but be successful on the end, not just run up and down the court. You know, I was recruiting a kid one time, and his mother said that one of the other schools had come in and said, North Carolina doesn't really run that fast. They just run that effectively. And I said, yes, and I like that. That's a positive to me, and that's what we're not doing right now.
Coach Daniel sent this one in and wanted to know if you could speak a little bit to the leadership of Andrew Platek. Daniel said it seems to him that Andrew has come in and provided a spark a couple of times for your team off the bench.
He really has. A UNLV game, Saturday's game against Central. He was a defensive player of the game in the College of Charleston game. He's come in by his play. He's not very talkative and, hadn't had the success that some guys have had in the past that makes it easier to be a leader, but he's come in for sure and done some really nice things in a couple of games that's helped us get over the hump.
I know it hasn't been every single game just yet, but he has hit some outside shots for you, which I know feels like it's important right now for you guys.
Well, it's hard to score if a ball doesn't go in the basket. You can't just say we look good doing it and hope they give you 1 point or something. And so, again, in the UNLV game and Saturday's game against Central, his scoring was big for us.
All right, let's get to question number 3 of our 3 questions here, Coach. And this one comes from Rob. Rob wondering if you could speak about Carolina's struggles here early. They've had some slow starts in games. I think he's talking about individual games. Mm-hmm. And then playing so much better in the second half. And if you have any thoughts on why that might be occurring. Well,
I think the biggest thing is freshmen. I mean, it's hard to explain to them how good Matt Coleman is, and they look back and never saw that Matt Coleman was a McDonald's All-American or anything like that. And so they're out there taking their time to sort of get their feeling about the games. I've always said, let's not tiptoe into the games. We don't go tiptoeing through the tulips, if you'll let me say that. I want you to plant your daggum feet and say, I'm here, take another step forward, and say, now I'm here, and take another step forward and say, now I'm here. But I think the biggest thing is just getting the feel of the game, and with 2 guards back there who are freshmen, it's been difficult for them.
Thank you for your questions, and we're going to get to some more, by the way, next segment with those top 3 presented by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, reminding you to practice your 3 W's, wear, wait, and wash, and they resolve to keep North Carolina healthy. We resolve to come back after this break. More with Coach here on the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being here. My name is Jones Angel, alongside the head coach of Carolina basketball. That, of course, is Roy Williams. It's his show. We'll be here every Monday night at 7 o'clock. Due to COVID, unable to be at top of the hill, but we'll be recording this on Monday afternoon for air for you on Monday evening. So a reminder again about questions. AskTheHeels@gmail.com is the email address, or shoot a tweet to me at JonesAngel, Angel 2 L's at the end. And let's get to some more questions, including our Cruisers question of the night, brought to you by Cruisers, your fast and friendly local convenience store. Cruisers, let's go. Coach, I don't think we've ever been asked this question before.
Okay.
This is from Jason in Cleveland, where the Tar Heels are going soon. Wanted to know the most famous person in your phone contacts. Famous phone number you've got in your phone.
Oh, geez. Well, I've got Michael's, so I called him.
I think that might be the max, right?
That's pretty good. I would say that. So I would go there. I used to have Mr. Steinbrenner's number in there, but I'd say starting with Michael is pretty good.
What'd you think about The Last Dance this spring?
I loved it. I watched every moment of it on Sunday, set my schedule to make sure that I could see it. I had lived it personally,
Sure.
a lot of it, and even the final game, 2 years, I was at the final game when they won their last two, and so that part was good, but just loved looking back, and I thought it was great for the young people because they see highlights, but they have no idea about the toughness and the resolve and the focus and just that he was not going to be denied.
Yeah.
And I think that they got to see more of that, plus that outrageous athleticism, not just in any dunk contest, but in plays during big-time games. I mean, to have your man clear and you stop it and turn around and steal the ball from Karl Malone, who's one of the greatest players in basketball history, to do those kind of things and affect the outcome of the game was the most amazing thing, and he did it every night.
And you had some great lines and cameos in there, too.
Yeah, they filmed mine, I guess, a couple of years ago or something and waited to get it. And one of the funniest things is that my most famous fivesome, I guess I should say, in golf, not foursome, was me and Michael, Charles Barkley, John Stockton, and David Robinson.
Wow.
And that was a lot of fun during the practice times because I was coaching those college kids against them every day for the week we were out in La Jolla.
Think you could take just those four against any five and be all right, even if you were down a man.
Well, no, if I played with him, we'd still be all right.
Coach, let's do two more here. Michael, not Michael Jordan, at least to my knowledge, sit this one in. Thought about or wanted to know your thoughts on the potential bubble for the NCAA tournament. And, of course, this is way down the road here, but just your thoughts on how to best manage that if you've thought about it at all.
Well, I haven't thought about it at all, but I know that when it came out, I said that makes sense. But the NBA spent so much money and so much time, and now we've got 68 teams coming in. It's a lot easier than whatever it was. They brought 20 or something like that, made it easier. But it'll be a challenge. It really will. And with this virus running around out there, you can't see it, can't smell it, can't hear it. It's there. And that should be something we'll constantly be aware of, and I'm sure there will be.
You had a similar, not exactly the same, but a similar situation in Asheville where that tournament tried pretty hard to keep you guys relatively isolated. How did that go?
It worked fine. I mean, they were really good, and the kids were really good. They wanted to play college basketball, so they did what they were told. And, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, they're going to be the ones that make the decisions.
Sure.
But the people up there, every team was very serious about playing in the tournament, try to do things. And we're testing every day. We're eating separately. I mean, it was fantastic.
Has it been hard, as you said, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, has it been hard to get that message across about the importance of doing all those things right away from basketball?
It really is hard, but these kids want to play basketball
Right.
so much. If, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, if our entire nation had the resolve as those 8 teams had up there every day, we wouldn't be in as bad a shape as we are right now. But we got off to such a bad start on this disease and made so many bad decisions and didn't emphasize it enough. And it's now the virus is in charge. We're not in charge.
One more, Coach, and then we'll take our last break here, and then Coach will be back with us later in the show to preview upcoming opponent. This one came on Twitter, Coach, wondering about Anthony Harris, Sterling Manley. Still haven't seen either one of those two for you out on the court, at least in game action.
Yeah, and I haven't seen them in 5-on-5 full court action either myself, so the fans aren't missing anything that I'm not missing. Anthony's done a few more things than Sterling, but so far we've kept both of them in a half-court situation. I think that Anthony's closer to getting freedom to full participation than Sterling is, but we're not talking about when because it makes no difference. We've got to see what they look like and what they feel like, and when they do, then we'll say, okay, let's go.
I would think it would be hard to make an immediate impact. I mean, just because they've both been out so long.
Oh, I mean, Sterling hadn't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and Anthony only played 5 games in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So no, it's impossible.
All right, we're going to take a break. Come back when we hear from Coach again. We'll preview Carolina's upcoming matchup with Ohio State. That's part of the CBS Sports Classic. That when we return to the Roy Williams Show from Learfield, IMG College. Carolina heading up to Cleveland to face Ohio State. That's the next scheduled opponent. Heels and Buckeyes, 4:30 on Saturday as part of the CBS Sports Classic. And, Coach, another stout opponent for your young team.
Well, it is. And the team that you said is ranked number 20 in
Correct.
the entire country right now. They whacked us pretty good in the Smith Center last year. I don't know very much about their team because just like we're doing this on Monday the 14th, I think that's the date, isn't it?
Correct.
All right, I got to go to practice, and we're going to practice Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then we'll start preparing for Ohio State on Thursday and Friday. But they really did whack us last year. They had an answer for everything we did here in the Smith Center. Chris is just a big-time coach, and again, I don't know anything, and it doesn't bother me because I don't ever try to find out anything except 2 practices before we play,
sure,
if we have that opportunity, and we will before we play Ohio State. But I know they'll shoot it well. They got big guys that are good, and we've got to play great.
Coach, last thing, you are now in a stretch here where you don't have as many games jammed together as you did once the season started. What do you hope to accomplish here when you do have a little more time with your team on the practice court?
Well, Jones, it's hard to plan because you don't know. We may have a game 2 days from now.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know if we're going to have a game 7 days from now or 10 days now. So you're really trying to just practice every day, trying to get your club ready to play. And then all of a sudden somebody will say, well, we can play this game on this day. Well, then we got to be ready to play. And so it's been more hectic, and I really feel for the freshmen because it's not been a smooth ride for them like it is a lot of times.
Flexibility, the name of the game this year in college athletics, to be sure. Coach, great to see you. Thank you for your time today. I know we're not doing it quite how we've done it in the past, but great to be with you and appreciate you joining us.
Well, Jones, thank you. And I do miss all those loyal fans that showed up at Top of the Hill every night because they were sensational. Whether we played great or did not, they were sensational. But nice seeing you as well.
All right, that's the voice of the head coach of the Tar Heels, Roy Williams. He'll be back with us next week on the next edition of the Roy Williams Show from Learfield IMG College.